Yo, it's a show you didn't know you needed, the
Just Looking Out podcast.
Yes, I'm your host, Sean T.
I'm Saint D.
We got a special guest.
Aaron S.
All right, Aaron is leading us today in our special topic. Go ahead and start us off.
So, unfortunately, we have a trending topic, and it's a topic that happens more often than it should. We can start off with Nolan Wells and why it's not necessarily the flex you think it is to be the only black person in the room, to be the only black person in the group, or to be the only black person on the island. So the three of us have all went to predominantly white schools, and so we're going to also incorporate like some of our experiences. Of course, it has never, gotten to this point of Nolan Wells and others' experiences. And definitely just our condolences to his family. Like, I can't imagine what they're going through at this time. But I do think it's important for us to keep spreading the word that you don't need to be the only one. And let's start with Nolan. Okay. So, Nolan Wells, he was an 18-year-old, and he went on a boat trip with his friends to Horn Island, which is like off the Gulf, like the coast of Mississippi.
Yeah.
This is a developing story, so currently, there's a few things going around saying that he met a girl and on the boat, not on the boat, but in that area off that island, and he decided to stay with her. He left his phone with his friends. His friends decided to go back without him, and his mother didn't find out until later on that her son was missing. She did hire Ben Crump, which to me rings some alarms, like a civil rights attorney, so, and he was the only black person on the group. So I do want to make mention that he has been on this boat ride with them previously. Like these are his childhood friends. Mm. What do you guys know about the story so far? Like, what's been happening?
Well, I've been hearing the same information that he went out on the boat with some of his friends, and they all went to this little like exclusive island and stuff. And there was like, I guess like with any, like you go to Florida and stuff, there's like a bunch of group of boats where people are partying and kicking and hanging out, and they might jump from boat to boat and stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, with all black people, when you go with somebody, you leave with that person.
You leave with that person, and also, and this is just me, on my, with me having Huey on my shirt. He went out with his friends on 4th of July. Just to me, like, our people weren't even free. So I'm still kind of like, like, that's why for me, like, 4th of July, I don't see the point, the hoopla. I guess people want to hang out and stuff like that, but I feel like for me, 4th of July, I don't think I would be hanging with a predominantly white group. And he did have some black friends, but one of them mentioned that the boat was already full. There was also a couple of, this is all alleged because, again, the story is developing, but somebody that I guess was on a different boat said that they noticed that there was an altercation.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That happened and stuff like that. So I definitely think this is something that we need to stay tuned on, because it reminds me of like a few other situations. What happened actually in Georgia, where not necessarily where we live, but Forsyth County. And what y'all know about y'all know about Forsyth County. Y'all know about Cummings, Georgia. That's like known for sundown towns. Yeah. And it's also known for Lake Lanier. Yeah. And we
people
y'all know about Lake Lanier.
Constantly. Every year it's a death there. It's multiple.
Yeah. And so with her, she was she moved down there with her husband and her 5 children. She was like, your ultimate like football mom. She was a PTA mom. She was heavily involved with what her kids had going on. And she hung out with, I think her name was Jean Myers. So she hung out with Jean Myers. That was the friend. She invited her over for a sleepover. and it was a few other women that was there,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be an all girls night, but there was another individual. His name, this was her boyfriend, and his name was like Jose. I don't know if it was Pereira, but but it was Jose. That was her boyfriend, and he, get this, he worked for pre-trial services, and he was a former probation officer. So when Tamla Ford, like, I guess, she was smoking cigarettes and she would go out on the balcony. They had like a top balcony on the house. So she would go outside and she would smoke. And um, there were some discrepancies, but the witness account said that she was the only one that was drinking all of the
Yeah,
tequila.
that she was the one that was drunk.
And they said she was like a very vibrant personality, loud and boisterous and stuff. And basically, they said that she obviously fell off of the balcony.
Yeah.
And there was an aunt, so Jean Meyer's aunt lived there as well. And so this was her account. She said that she was in the basement and she saw something outside. And she said she got on her knees and prayed, and then went and made her coffee. And then when she checked, she was like, she saw that it was the lady. So she goes and tells her Jean, she's like, your friend from the islands is there, is outside. Nobody, once they discovered the body, nobody checked to see if she was breathing. They said she had been out there that entire night. And the police, like, just low-key just closed it. They did, like, a test on her, and they were like, oh, well, she had marijuana in her system, and I think, like, some prescription drug. I don't want to misquote it. And they were saying, basically, that's all that happened. But mind you, again, that's why I brought up that the boyfriend, Jose, who had no business being there, he worked for pre-child services. Now, after the case was closed, he got fired from that job for trying to access Tamla's case information. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, so, you're right.
So, I mean, it's way more to the story, but
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of discrepancies. Like, she had, so Jean had notifications of when people were going in and out the door, right? And she usually had video surveillance, but ironically, that particular night,
There was no surveillance.
it wasn't recorded.
See, yeah, that,
I recall seeing the picture of them online.
Yeah.
When that happened,
yeah.
all sitting on that couch.
On that
Yeah,
couch.
yeah, they were all sitting on the couch.
And even that picture, it looked like, you know how, like, we're all kind of like leaned in to each other in some way. It was kind of like everybody was kind of like not really leaned into her.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it was just like a lot of body language. And that case is still, like, it keeps getting reopened.
As it should, though.
It keeps getting reopened
As it
because
should.
they said that they found, let me see, I wrote it down. They found her body was returned, and the autopsy said that she had, like, broken, like, bruises on her wrist, a broken neck, a dislocated wrist, and abrasions that looked defensive. It didn't really look like she just fell.
Right, it looked like she was fighting somebody off, or
Yeah, and then even on the 911 call, they said that she sounded like everybody that was talking about her, like giving their accounts on their phone. There was nobody in distress. It was almost like they were describing the sky, like it was just like factual.
Anything.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because I mean, all these events happen, especially with the one that happened with Peter Spencer. He was 29. He went out hunting with, like, 3 other white males and stuff out in the woods and stuff. And the stories just don't even seem right because they're saying that while they were hunting the woods, that Peter Spencer, he went and started taking mushrooms and stuff like that, and he started waving an AK all erratically in the air and stuff, and they felt like their life was in danger, so they shot him. that doesn't like
Yeah.
Who
you know
takes shrooms while
while you're
hunting?
thank you while you're
That's
hunting.
that's crazy in itself.
When, like, from what I heard, like, if you take shrooms, you don't even know what experience you're gonna have. So I don't think that would be wise.
Yeah, and then his fiance was saying that he didn't even go out there with a gun.
So
So
he was the kind of like what they said about Jeffrey Epstein, like allegedly that they would have kids go out there and they will hunt them. That, unfortunately, like, it sounds like that's something that occurs more frequently.
yeah,
You
It
know,
definitely could happen. I
It
mean, that definitely. Did they ever follow up? I mean, because they definitely could have did like some type of autopsy or anything. Did you hear anything about that?
well, in the autopsy, they didn't really say like what he had in his system or anything like that, but they were just describing like the wounds and stuff like that. But they're just giving that. How would he get these drugs, and why does nobody else have these drugs in their system? And then like why would nobody say, hey, no, you shouldn't be doing shrooms out here and stuff? I mean, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? And then if his fiance says that she claims that he didn't go with a weapon, then why would you give him an AK then? Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it just but none of them were charged though. And same like with the last case with the lady
With Tamla.
Tamlin, nobody
Yeah.
was charged in that either. And
Nobody. They made it seem like it was just a fault, and it's just the fact that it was in Forsyth County. There's a lot of rumors that go around that there is like a hunting season. Like, of course, we will never know about it. It's not going to be on your Twitter or your, TikTok. This is something that's undisclosed.
yeah.
This is something that's between them. And it just makes me uncomfortable. And it kind of reminds me of what happened even, long ago with Kendrick Johnson. I don't know why I want to give this man a different last name. But, he was found unalived in a gym mat because his shoe was in the gym mat. And instead of them unrolling the gym mat, they were saying that his body was stuffed in there. And he also died from unalive from asphyxia.
And didn't he like get in a fight or altercation with a boy whose son was the sheriff or something like that nature?
Brian and Brandon Bell. Their father was actually an FBI agent.
Okay.
And he worked he worked out in Valdosta, but he worked for the FBI, like out of their headquarters. This is what I'm saying. These people are coming from judicial systems that are supposed to protect us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the family for that particular case, they fought for a very long time. I know they
They're
tried to go
still
to trial.
fighting. This
Yeah,
is not
multiple
over.
times. They have definitely never given up for answers for that because
Well,
that was
yeah.
crazy. I mean, if your shoe, how did his shoe? Then they put his shoe in the mat or something like that. Didn't somebody put his shoe in the mat and he tried to get it out? Because how did his
That
shoe
was
even
probably
get
the
in the
story
mat?
that they were telling.
Yeah.
And I saw some footage where he was in the cafeteria and there was this white boy that was in front of him. The white boy grabbed something out of his shoe. They were all in the cafeteria getting lunch. The white boy in front of him grabs something out of his shoe and hands it to, I think it was Brian Bell. And Brian does like this little circle, and then he kind of just like taps Kendrick like that, and Kendrick like looks. Like, to me, I feel like that's a code for something, Like, I feel like that was like, this is him. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not, if his father is the father of the FBI, they're not going to be texting information, stuff like that. They're not going to be like, we're going to do this. It's going to be like certain cues and codes and stuff like that. And again, this is all alleged.
Yeah.
But, it's just,
No, I understand.
know,
Yeah, things just don't be
like some
adding up.
things
Like,
like even with the autopsy, like when the parents got the body back, where were the organs?
yes, I remember that.
My child is in high school, so I'm pretty sure they didn't have a organ donor situation.
Yeah, they were missing. His organs were
His
missing.
organs were missing. And then when the family did their own autopsies, it came back with blunt force trauma, not asphyxiation. Hopefully that was but that wasn't. So it's like we have to get our own autopsies done, and again, just I feel like the police, the judge, all of them, again, these are the same. They're supposed to protect us, but think about back to the old days, the same people that were marching and wearing those out, the KK, the robes. I
Yeah,
don't even want to say it because I want to get it out. I don't want to, but
the Klan robe.
they
The
were,
Klan, yeah.
they were your doctors, they were your lawyers, and this
They were.
reminds me currently that there is a civil case between Karen Reed and Michael. Have you guys heard about this? It's Karen Reed and Michael Proctor and Sean Good. So Michael Proctor is a former state trooper, and Sean Good, I think he was, I forgot what he was. I don't know, like a lawyer, not a lawyer, but he was maybe a police officer or something. But either way, there's text messages because apparently she's suing him for negligence and conspiracy. And so they released the text messages between Michael and Sean talking, there was a car accident and he was like, don't rush. Michael was like, don't rush. They're N-words. Let them unalive. And they found in those text messages, they were saying a lot of N-words. They were referring to black people as monkeys. They were saying they wish we were still their slaves. Not going to happen. Spanish slurs, anti-Semitic slurs. I mean, all of them. They went down the list. Everything you could possibly think of. And these are, again, people that are supposed to rush to your aid when you get into an accident. Or rush to your... Like, this is really happening.
That is true.
And that's why, again, it goes back to you don't always have to be the only one in the room. We need more of us in these settings.
Yeah.
Because when you're the only one, you end up being Clarence Thomas. So it's just like, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, we all went to predominantly white schools, but let me before that, let me just bring something else up. So for Nolan Wells, it was maybe about 13% black population at his school. Kendrick Robinson, it was like 25% black population. Tamla Ford, in the town, Cummings, Georgia, like Forsyth County itself, that population is like 8.3%. And I looked up the school that I went to in Woodstock, Georgia, called Woodstock High. And when I was in that school, it was 8% black population. So what were y'all's experience going to a predominantly white school? Was there any time that you felt like discernment may have saved you? Were you ever in uncomfortable situations where you were the only person, or you were looking for like, brother, like?
For me, not really. I think that's kind of one of like the hardest things with these types of discussions and stuff like that is separating what I know is going on from experience. Because I'm aware that things are happening in life and stuff like that to black people, but it's like I've never experienced it. And I like I said, we went to a predominantly white high school. I didn't really have any problems there or anything like that. And then also, I mean, even before that, like when I first moved to Georgia, the neighborhood I moved to when I originally moved there, I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 black families in the whole neighborhood. And, even growing up there, nothing was said about me or about my family, at least to our face. I don't know what they said behind closed doors, but they treated us like a neighbor growing up. And,
you were probably one of the nice ones. That's probably.
And that's and maybe that's how they looked at it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe that's how they looked at it. They just looked at us as a nice, safe family. I guess, who knows? I mean, but so yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of like my hardest thing when we discuss things like this is kind of like separating what I know from what I've actually been through.
Yeah.
But high school was straight, man, for me, as far as like with the white kids. Because remember, I mean, we all stuck together, the black kids did.
Yeah.
So that 8% felt a lot
That
bigger
8% felt a lot
than
bigger.
it probably was.
We had
because
our own section.
Yeah,
honey.
we
made
literally
our
all
own
stayed in
colored
one section. It was between two hallways.
Yeah.
And you know, and we didn't have like a lot of drama and stuff like with the black kids in school, so it wasn't like we was all separated. Like we was all a group of friends, and everybody talked, and we all hung out after school and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know. For me, high school was kind of fine because I was still surrounded by people who I felt comfortable with, even if it wasn't a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say that I've had both experiences. More so like in middle school when they changed that Georgia flag. Oh my gosh. That was like the friend, you were just at the person's house hanging out with them, and next thing you know, they got the Confederate flag on, and they're calling you all kind of words and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, girl, we was just like, what is happening? But I do remember I had this female associate, and she was white, and she only wanted to date black guys. And she would talk to me all the time, and she's like, my dad's racist, and my dad doesn't, he doesn't like black men. That's what she would say. Not necessarily black women, but black men. And I remember I was supposed to go to her house to hang out, and I remember the dad was looking out the window, and I told my mom and stepdad, I was like, I don't want to go in that house. Like I was just like, I don't feel comfortable. And after that, I was just like, I don't know what I escaped in that moment, but, and then I had other experiences where the white people I would hang out with, they're like, well, why do black people do this? Or can't you dance? Or, I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
I'm not putting on no show for y'all.
I never kicked it with no bold white people like that.
Oh,
before.
yeah, definitely. It was because I was in like chorus and yearbook, and I was like really engrossed in more groups than just the black people group, the black group. And so I would deal with a lot of stuff, but not to the point where I felt like I was not always the only person, like in certain alone social settings. And I'm not saying that this doesn't have, clearly these are just situations that hit the news or, but I do feel like our parents thought they were doing something for us in a positive way by putting us in these settings. And even with us, like you said, the high school we went to, we did find each other, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't always happen.
That's true.
I mean, that's true.
That's true.
That doesn't always happen, and then you end up, in certain situations. And of course, this doesn't happen all the time. We're not saying that.
Yeah.
But we do need to prepare our children for when they leave this world. Not only watch out for that guy you're dating, watch out for that girl you're dating, watch out for the group you're in. And that covers all settings. And this is a conversation that needs to be had.
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that, because it definitely needs to be a conversation, because, sometimes you, as a child, you're not like born with racism and stuff, so you don't know that this white kid is not your friend, or this Asian kid or Hispanic kid is not your friend. Y'all all are just playing together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Until later on, when you start, realizing that, okay, all right, something's not right about, certain people that I kick it with. So I definitely believe that. And, not everybody who your friend is, you should be friend with their friends. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
You can't kick it. Sometimes you're just cool with that person for a reason. And then when they got other friends, hey, that may not be your cup of tea. So, but yeah, with that situation with Nolan, it's sad that, you do want to, some people do want to go live in a certain neighborhood area and stuff like that. And then just, the school may happen to just be just predominantly, one race. And
I mean, that's a fact. Because if we're being honest, bro, a lot of black people associate making it with pretty much living amongst white people. If you really think about it, like living amongst, better living, middle class. But, most middle class are white people. So, when black people, when we do kind of, like I said, kind of make it or kind of start making more money or success or whatever like that, like you like take pride of moving away from the hood. You know what I'm saying? I left the hood. I'm never going back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of times how we probably, or our kids wind up in these situations, like I said, when they are just one of 10 or something
Yeah.
like that, or a low number, is mainly because we're programmed to think that success is, in a sense of a way, kind of moving far away from our own people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in a lot of cases, I mean, and that doesn't go for everybody, of course. Of course, there are people who, want to remain around their own race and stuff like that. And of course, there are a lot of well middle class black
Yes, yes, they
areas. You
are.
know what
There
I'm
is.
saying? Yeah.
There is.
So
Rolling
it's not like,
hills.
it's
There
not
is.
like it don't exist or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. But I'm just saying there's a mindset, a common mindset that goes around where it's actually you're more associated with success the whiter your neighbors are. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So it's kind of a hard situation to keep your children out of. And that goes back to what you're saying, just as far as just having that conversation with them to make them
Yeah.
aware that, like, hey, in the end of the day, you still black.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
No matter how cool you are, how well they treat you, they might treat you good. Like I said, I don't have any bad experiences in my life, but I was still very aware that I was black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It was gonna come up one way or the other.
Yeah, if something went missing after I left my homie's house, you know what I'm saying? I was probably gonna be the first person that was like, "What is Sean over here earlier?" And I had nothing to do with it, but I was aware of that from a young age, which
You
kept
do
me from
know.
doing crazy
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I was
yeah.
aware that I was probably gonna be the first person they was gonna question if it happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's because of the knowledge my parents passed to me, much to your point
Yeah.
of just preparing your children. So that's,
Yeah.
when you said that, that made me think that that is probably why my experience is not as, like really no drama and stuff when it comes to white people. Probably because, my parents already told me,
Your
you're
parents
black.
said they was like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think that this is not, like I said, we're not targeting one group. I go on work trips where I'm the only black person in the room and stuff like that. I'm not saying that that's what it is. Like, we're not blaming all white people in this situation. What am saying is, just like we have conversations about, you don't need to be hanging out with these YNs, or you don't need to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to be going to this club or anything like that. This needs to also be included in that conversation. Like, we have to be real. And like you said, at the end of the day, if you the only one in the room, they might blame you. But I don't recall you going on about your experience going to a predominantly white school. And where was it? What state was it in? Because ours was in Georgia, Woodstock.
Yeah. So when I was in, we'll start when I was in elementary. I did have a mixture in elementary where it was, I think it was still a little bit like 80 something, maybe 90% white. Mm-hmm. So I did get to experience like others, younger. But like I said, when you're younger, you're not thinking about it like that.
Yeah.
You just like, whether Brad's my friend or not, or something like that. Mm-hmm. We're going to go play on the slides today, or we going to play kickball together. You're not thinking about it like that. So after that, I started going to just predominantly all black schools. And then I got reintroduced in probably like 1 year of high school in like Louisiana. That's where the school was like 90% white. Mm. And then, 10% just everybody else, because
not everybody else. Just one little.
we had black people there. I mean, it was black people there because like I said, we all tend to find each other and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So whether we got the same classes or not, like as soon as you talk to one black person, they already know this one. It's kind of like y'all all just y'all started rooting. So we had, and then it was a lot of different white people there too. Like I said, you had the the country club white boys. You got the the boat, you
the
know,
Abercrombie,
yeah,
the
then
seashell wearing ones,
and I didn't see the ones who wore the all black trench coats
the
too.
Goths,
The
yeah.
goths,
The golfs.
you know what
Those
I'm
was my
saying?
homies in high school.
The nerds who you think that
Yeah.
that you know
Boy.
you need to
I
be.
used to be nice to the
Me
nerds,
too.
bro,
Me
because just in
too.
case they came with the.
Hey,
Are we calling them nerds? I don't
I mean,
know.
Yes,
well,
they was the
Correct,
nerds.
sir.
some of them were some of the nerds, but yes,
The
they are.
gifted? No, I
They
don't
was
want to call them gifted now. I don't know what it's
the
called.
gift. They was nerds.
They were nerds.
The
They were
nerds
like-
are the nerds. You know, they knew they
Okay.
was nerds,
That's true.
and they used to get picked on.
Yeah.
And I used to, hey, how you doing today?
Yeah.
Because if just in case you showed up there
And,
for some
you know,
action,
and we definitely used to have so many bomb threats.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
We
never,
had one too.
Yeah, and I never understood. Logistically, it just never made sense. If I call you to tell you that I'm gonna do, a threat, why would you send everybody outside? Why wouldn't I? Like, I could easily just, and we all knew the protocol. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's also,
Well, it seems
you
like
know,
it's a lose-lose.
it's
So
a
we're supposed to stay
lose-lose
inside?
situation. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can run off and stuff like that. But kind of like with the tornado, like, you want me to go in the hallway, like the tornado's going to be like, oh, nope, they in this hallway. Let
The
me
tornado
Yeah.
drill was wild. The tornado drill was wild.
go. Like, it just
Yeah.
never
Because,
made
yo,
any
we
sense.
was in there like
Yeah, we
Like,
were.
we're
We
just
really
really
were.
protecting
like
our
our
necks.
hands was gonna keep concrete from snapping our necks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
that was wild,
crazy.
bro.
Oh, my gosh.
That is true.
When they would uncover us like this,
Yep.
covered in dust,
Looking crazy.
Smashed in.
smashed up, bro. Yeah, yo,
That's crazy. But
crazy
yeah.
stuff in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I had a blast in high school. I felt like it was just a lot of situations where I had to check you in, if you made those comments, you made those remarks and stuff like that. And you could tell, like, sometimes, did you guys ever feel like, in those predominantly white schools, did you ever feel like your teacher was low-key racist?
I did feel like a teacher was probably picking on certain people. Yeah. I would say that.
You
yeah.
think so? My second grade teacher, well, I was still in New York, but she might have just been mean because she was old and we was bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, what
Was she calling y'all nigglets or something?
Nah, she didn't call us. She didn't call us nothing. But I remember her just being real mean, man. Like I remember her just being just a mean old lady, man.
Was she
And
from the caucus?
Yeah. She was a
Oh.
white lady, but like I said, I was still in New York at this time. But I mean, that's
That
probably
don't
even
mean
worse because
nothing.
I lived on the South Side then, so she really probably hated us because we was bad kids. You know what I'm
was
saying?
like the teacher from just the older version of the teacher from Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah, but mean though.
But mean.
Yeah, but mean. And maybe I was just a bad kid in school. I was kind of bad in school because she used to give the kids graham cracker,
the
the
animal
little
crackers?
bears, the little bears.
Oh, the Teddy Grahams.
Teddy Grahams,
Yeah.
right? And I used to like never get Teddy Grahams, yo. And I remember when I was a kid, I remember sitting in class like, man, I'm gonna grow up and be a teacher, and I'm gonna eat all the Teddy Grahams I want to. Like that used to be what would be on my mind, bro. When I didn't get no Teddy Grahams, bro.
That was his version of,
Yeah, so I was like, watch. I was like, man, I'm growing up. I'm gonna eat all the Teddy Grahams.
That was his version of being like, my teacher said I wasn't gonna be nothing. Like,
Right,
bro.
bro. Right. I think that was only first grade because I think I did second grade here.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
So,
Now, I feel like one of my teachers made just one little comment, but this is actually kind of funny because we were in there talking. It was like a computer class, and he said this was when they wanted to put the train out there in Cherokee County, and and he said, I don't want any riffraff coming, up and down through Cherokee County. Now, me being in high school, I'm like, are you saying riffraff is black people? And so I called my mom. My mom done went all, LA on them. She cursing them out and stuff. Fast forward to me being a grown woman who has taken the train. I, too, can attest that I do not want riffraff.
See, it came full circle.
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Some
Like,
things
all
you just
riffraff,
can't understand until you're older.
You don't realize until
Yeah.
you're older. And I think you just have to, I'm like, okay, because I remember I lived in Buckhead, and that was the new Bankhead, and that was not a safe environment for people to take the train. And they having so many unalivings on the train right now. Every time I look on the news.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This world is just a ball of confusion. We could be here all day and talk about all of the topics, but this was just one that I feel like it just goes unnoticed. When you talk to your kids, talk to them about everything, but include this conversation. If you decide to move because the music is loud or something like that, and you want to move them into a quiet gated community, bring you some friends along with you. Don't just move, just don't move into the neighborhood by yourself. Connect with some other, black communities within that neighborhood. No, seriously. And look out for each other.
I was just thinking, like, you said, bring them along with you. That's like the true definition of there goes the neighborhood.
There goes the neighborhood. But you know what? But to that end, there was a lot of black neighborhoods that were thriving. And when they were thriving, they got burned down. So it is always a lose-lose conversation. Lose-lose situation. But that's just my final thoughts. Include this in your conversation when you're telling your friends, your children, you don't want them hanging out with that fast girl, or, include this part too, this topic, because it's real and it keeps happening.
Yeah.
What about y'all?
That was a good closure for me, man. Like she said, remind your kids they black.
Yeah.
Okay, it goes for Asians and Hispanics. Just
whatever race you are, remind your kids that they're a race. You know what I'm saying?
If you don't, Michael Proctor and Sean Good and everybody else that's associated will remind them.
Yes.
That's it.
True.
All right, man. Well, great discussion for today, man. Good discussing some old memories from school.
Yeah.
I am Sean T.
I am Saint D.
Special guest.
Aaron S.
Yes, man. Per usual, just looking out.